past weekend we get way too much rain, way too fast.
At Island View Orchards on the Old Mission Peninsula, a good downpour isn't always a good thing.
When they get this close to harvest time, too much rain is too big of a problem. First thing Saturday morning, we came out and they were all starting to split.
The lighter varieties of cherries were hardest hit. The rain causes cherries to swell, so much so that they crack and split open.
They're the ones that they make the maraschino cherries out of.
When that happens, they can't be sold to processors.
Nobody wants to buy a cherry that looks like it's been run through a blender.
Other varieties, like cherries used in cherry pies, are still okay for now.
Our sour cherries, they love the water. They'll take a whole bunch. They have a heavier skin, so they don't expand when they get full of water.
But the trees are still holding a lot of water, so the next few weeks will be critical. The news is the pits for the family matriarch, Mary Lyon. She's been on the farm for 50 years, since 1971.
It's sad to see that, but then on the other hand, the ones that are beautiful are really good looking, but the bad ones are bad.
Some of the cherries on this tree are just fine, others too damaged to sell. Phil Lyon says anywhere between 20 and 75% of the cherry crop on each tree is just too damaged.
We'll be shaking them, but they'll be going right onto the ground, so the birds will be loving us this year. You take it in stride and hunker down and wait for next year. Nothing you can do now.
In Grand Traverse County, Bill Froehlich, 9 and 10 News.
You definitely don't want to have a fire if you're not able to put it out or control it or contain it.
In addition to planning for fun this holiday weekend, you should also plan for safety. The holiday often means time outdoors with family and friends, and maybe a backyard barbecue or a campfire will be part of your Memorial Day weekend.
But as 9 and 10's Bill Froehlich shows us, firefighters want you to keep some simple safety tips in mind.
As we get into late spring and early summer, fire danger season is here, and Lieutenant Kyle Clute from Grand Traverse Metro Fire is joining us. We've seen a lot of fires lately. You guys are obviously keeping busy, and I know you've been called out to other communities as well to help out, but really for the Memorial Day weekend, we want to talk about what people need to know just in their own backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're selecting a location for your fire ring, you want to use a location that's about 10 feet away from any structures. When you place your chairs, you want to be about 3 feet away from the fire pit to just allow a nice safety buffer for any flame or any heat or any source like that. And then you want to use an approved ring. So some sort of manufactured ring would be ideal. If you make your own, you want to definitely pick something that's nice and sturdy and is going to contain that fire and keep it from spreading. And then you always want to make sure that you have some sort of water source nearby that's ready to go and is able to put out that fire if it does get out of control.
I'm thinking even too, a bucket is not necessarily enough.
No, usually
a good hose and plenty of water.
Yeah, usually a bucket. People are surprised the bucket goes quick and it really doesn't put out a lot of fire for what it is. When it comes to outdoor fires, wind is a big issue. Even with residential structure fires, wind's a big issue. So you want to be mindful of that. You can always check the fire danger status on the DNR's website as well as burn permits. Burn permits don't necessarily apply to campfires, but they are a good indication of the fire danger in the area. If they're not issuing them, that means there's probably a high fire danger and it might not be the best outdoor activity for the night.
And finally, from personal experience, I know as well that when you're doing a campfire or s'mores, people seem often to be ready to go to bed before that fire's out.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're ready for bed, make sure you put the fire to bed. So we want to make sure that it's out completely, soak it down, leave some standing water on it so that way it doesn't have the opportunity to dry out overnight if wind picks up and maybe finds an ember. You can make mud out of it and that keeps it wet longer.
Good advice. We wish everyone has a safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
And that's Lieutenant Kyle Clute from Grand Traverse Metro Fire. I'm Bill Froehlich reporting for 9 and 10 News.
It has definitely been an interesting 12 months, no doubt about that.
Construction work was halted during the pandemic, but once crews were allowed to get back to work, the pent-up demand kept them incredibly busy. And now, as we enter 2021, things are really framing up for yet another busy construction season.
Phone's just been ringing off the hook.
The builders are busy. Everyone, well, it seems like everyone wants their house renovated or they want a new house now.
We just can't keep up. Just as busy as we want to be. We've got our hands full here and never-ending calls. It hurts to turn work away. One of those feast times of year, you hear about the feast or famine, and it's definitely feast right now. These sell before we even get them built.
Demand is high everywhere, due in part to short supply because of things like the California wildfires. The cost of lumber is also up this year.
All the manufacturers, they had a lull too, so they're struggling to keep up with demand.
One of the owners of this development in Blair Township says they've seen lumber prices more than double over the past year.
Lumber isn't the only thing. All sorts of materials are going up, and that has to be passed on to the home buyer or the builder has to take a loss on it.
Those price increases are having an impact on potential buyers. The average home cost is up $25,000.
It's pricing people out of the market, or it's causing the builders to take a loss on some projects.
The buildup of home building is also taking a toll on the labor market. Experts say the full impacts of the pandemic, home pricing, and labor may not show up for several years. Bill Froehlich, 9 and 10 News.
It was something I couldn't deny, and I just felt really called to the profession.
State police are seeing fewer females choosing careers in law enforcement.
They are truly out there helping people every day. No matter what the challenges are, consequences are, that's what they're here to do every day, and I wanted to join them.
Central 7349 traffic stop.
For Trooper Christina Drosty, this is her second career. She was once a prosecutor in Antrim County.
As a prosecutor, you don't get involved until you receive a report from a police officer. So you're behind the 8 ball already. As a police officer, they call 911 and you respond. So you're their immediate first line of help. And that's what I wanted to be.
She says it's important for women to have a presence.
For example, a victim might think, I'd be more comfortable with a female. And when we're talking about someone who's been through a traumatic experience like sexual assault.
Trooper Drosty is the only female trooper at her post, but not the only woman in uniform, of course.
Law and crime always interested me.
Kalkaska County Deputy Ashley Van Sloten says there are challenges in a male-dominated career, but it's rewarding.
You see little girls kind of looking and saying, hi, I want to be a police officer someday. So it's kind of encouraging to hear that.
Both officers agree it's great to see other women putting on the uniform, no matter which department they represent.
We're on the same team, we're fighting the same fight. It makes me thrilled to see women enter this field.
There's definitely a bond. We're few and far between.
Bill Froehlich, 9 and 10 News.
9 and 10's Bill Froehlich has been in the Traverse City area all morning and joins us now live from Williamsburg with the scary situation from one homeowner. Bill?
Hey, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm at the Morris home in Williamsburg where the soffit came off in the storm last night, but I want to show you more importantly what's behind me. You can see on the ground floor that broken window by the baby's room, and then up at the top, tree not only hit the top of the house, but another tree went through the house. It was a close call here.
30 plus trees down. You know, we could hear it last night, but you never know what the damage is going to be, and when we woke up, it was everywhere.
Quinn Morris and his wife Megan say they were in bed when the storm hit.
You know, we were talking about maybe going to the basement, and we saw an alert on our phone, and then all of a sudden a bomb went off, and this branch comes through, you know, our wall, and we hear this crash down by the baby's room, so we sprint down, grab her. She sleeps through the whole thing.
In Traverse City, a tree roughly 90 feet tall is now 90 feet long after it toppled over across 12th Street. This monster of a tree narrowly missed houses across the street.
Yeah, it was quite a large thud right over the bedroom where we were sleeping. That large limb just couldn't sustain that first big gust of wind.
It doesn't happen every day. Yeah. But it is sad in Traverse City that so many of the, you know, lovely big shade trees are coming down. I'm glad it didn't fall on the house.
And Quinn Morris tells me they've got 30 trees on the property here, plus a trail out at the back edge of their property where he's already counted more than 100 trees down. A tree service just arrived on the scene here. They'll be getting to work. They didn't lose power here, though, but that's not the case everywhere. Consumers Energy says 180,000 customers across the state are without power. Cherryland Electric has got about 37,000 without power as of this morning. Live in Williamsburg, Bill Froehlich, 9 and 10 News.